Here we are, it's July 2014, and here's Calum Jamieson.
Hello.
He is the main songwriter in Roads to Damascus. I want to take you back to the beginnings of Roads to Damascus. Where did it originate? 2009 and beyond, your first album? Can you talk me through where you came from?
First album really started probably 2006. Left the band called Mind Gone Blind, and I had a load of ideas that I was planning to make into their next CD, and I left with a load of music and basically put it away for a year and a half, 2 years, and then started writing again late 2007, early 2008, when I suddenly realised I had an hour's worth of a concept album, and then that's when I got you involved, Stephen.
I see. And why did you look for an external source for vocals? What was your thinking behind that?
Well, have you heard me singing?
Sorry, that was a bit of a loaded question.
It's because you're great.
Oh, I like you too. So it's moved along quite a bit now. We've had album 2, Roads to Damascus 2.
2012.
2012. What were your thoughts on that album? What was the process there? And
the process there was that we were trying to get out and play live as a two-piece, and I had a load of old demos, and the idea being that I sent you a load of old demos, minus the vocals, with a view to you learning the vocals, and we going out as a two-piece, and instead of you learning vocals, you wrote new words and new vocal tunes, and before we knew it, we had maybe 3 or 4 songs that hadn't seen the light of day before, and add to that the 3 or 4 that I'd been working on anyway, and we suddenly had an album when we weren't even looking to have an album, which was great again. And the recording process was completely different because we had everything finished. I mean, the first album was similar. We've everything demoed and ready. We get a drummer in, and then we start again, and that's what takes. Basically, after everything's ready, everything takes a year after that.
It does.
Maybe more.
It does seem to take us a long time to get.
Very long time.
We all seem to have some kind of problems along the way. Things, life, whatever. Yeah.
Breakages.
Bodily breakages.
Yeah. Heads, hearts, bones.
I remember listening to the first album, one, in I think it was 2009 when I first got it. I was at the Belladrum Festival.
That was 2008.
Was it 2008? Yeah. And it was basically a pretty poor lineup, and I spent quite a bit of the time in the tent listening to that album, getting quite excited about what I could possibly get up to with it. So R2D2 for me was it was just a progression.
Yeah.
And what would you say, because I know what I think about the third album, Precious Empires, which is coming out, what are your thoughts on what's happened with that?
Much. It's the quickest we've ever written anything. We started the writing process in July. Yeah, about a year ago, just now. We started the writing process, and we finished the writing and the demoing really quickly. From a guitar playing point of view, it's a progression from the first 2, because I like my digital delays and stuff like that. There's still that in there, but it's much more soulful album, this one.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, just going back, had you stayed in Mind Gone Blind, do you think this material would have worked with them? Would they have gone with it? Or because I know the previous albums that I've heard was Time and Money and that was kind of heavier, weren't they?
Yeah, they were very heavy in the sense that I always wrote 2 guitar lines when I was working in Mind Gone Blind, but one was always a keyboard line. So I always had the notion that one would be, one of those guitar lines that I usually ended up playing a guitar line that was a keyboard part, and So yeah, Mind Gone Blind was a heavy band, but they've gone much heavier. They've gone much heavier than I would ever anticipate going heavier. But again, I was beginning to get my own way with like say the second one, World of Lies, where there's keyboards in there. And even in the first CD, See Through You, is very, very keyboard heavy, and it's almost got a dancey sort of beat to it. And that's the kind of area I always wanted to push it into.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, I think it's been, for you, it's been beneficial, because I can see you've progressed an awful lot. The first album was very much me coming in at the last minute, and maybe I added a few bits and pieces, but it's very you, the first album.
Yep, very me.
And slowly we kind of gelling ideas, but there's always a separation, definitely. I feel personally, when I'm listening to the new album, we've got a lot of keyboards going on. There's no, not to feel embarrassed about it, because I'm not, there is a huge swathe of 80s feel in it. Do you agree, or?
Yeah, I don't deliberately try and make the stuff sound like the 80s. It just sounds everything right sounds like that era. No, I maybe I'm making up for lost time, bunging in loads of keyboards, but I don't particularly like riffing on the guitar anymore. I don't like fast guitar solos. I don't like I don't like having to push the guitar to the front where it is an accompaniment instrument.
Yeah.
And I'm like using a load of keyboards so that they can be a foil to my guitar playing. Really,
but I would say you are more than a guitarist now. You're more of a multi-instrumentalist. You know.
Badly.
Well, I mean, you kind of, in some ways, you've been forced into it, because I know you had a terrible arm injury, and it has misshapen your arm. It has, and you did find it difficult to grasp your tool, as it were. So, did you find the keyboard a great relief?
Oh, madam.
No, was it more a dexterity thing? Did you find that it helped you, retain some dexterity?
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't. I still can't stretch my left hand to what I used to be able to stretch my left hand. I cannot play as fast as I used to. Things just doesn't come back as much as I hoped, but it enables me to, without sounding pretentious around it, enables me to mean every note I play.
Yeah.
Whereas before I could bluster through it with delay and volume and a bit of feedback. These days, no, I can't. I have to actually mean every note I play. In that sense, I've stopped looking at guitar solos as being guitar solos. They're now just, well, what's the point in having a guitar solo? Because every time I make a demo of a guitar solo, you sing over the top of it.
Yeah, true.
No, but
they're more like soundscapes.
That's what I'm trying to do these days. I'm not really interested in a million notes. 2 or 3 will do nicely, and if I leave enough space for a vocal to go on top of that, it'll be better.
I mean, you don't know. I suppose one day you could drift back towards that heavier sound, but certainly I would say there's nothing to be ashamed. The sound that you've achieved on this album, when I say there's a feel of 80s on it, I don't mean that in a derogatory sense at all, because there's a huge generation of people out there right now who I think will really get this album.
I think so.
And a lot of the messages in there are about, I suppose, our childhood, 70s, 80s, teenage life and things therein. But do you think the 4th album, if there is such a thing, where do you think that may go?
Yeah, 2 areas it won't be going in is country western and pipe band music.
Okay. Do you not want to go Scottish?
No.
No.
No, I think I mean.
There was somebody who wanted us to go Scottish at some point, wasn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I really do like the Scottishness of what we've got on this album. There is a Scottishness. There's that sort of coping. The first song.
Yeah.
It's got a real. If you close your eyes when you're listening to even the demos and that, you're on a hillside somewhere. But no, I don't really embrace Scottish music. people talk about traditional music. Why don't you embrace traditional music? But when does something become a tradition? Rock and roll's been on this planet since 1955, 54, 55, 56. To me, that's tradition. I think American rock and roll then came to Britain and became heavy rock, and we exported it back there. And no, I think to me that, you know, 60s British pop and 60s British rock speaks volumes to me compared as a tradition rather than pipe band music, you know, accordions.
Yeah, I mean, there was some great stuff. I was going to maybe highlight where we are at the moment, 2014. What are your thoughts on current music? I mean, people knock you. They say as you get older you lose touch with reality. But we've both got children. We hear all the new stuff and that, and I think there's an element where you can just say, well, actually, no, I don't like something. So what do you think about new music? Is there anything that excites you out there?
I've really desperately tried to find new music, and there's been a dearth of it for me. It's simply either the lyrics don't hit me or the musical sound doesn't hit me, and I'm ashamed to say that in 2014 the bands that excite me in 2014 are the bands that were exciting me in 2004, that were exciting me in 1994 and in 1984. I'm still listening to the same bands that I was listening to when I was in my teenage years, but those bands are continuing to write music that grabs my attention and the right lyrics that grabs my attention. And
excuse me, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Die if you must.
I've got a froggy in me. So
no, the answer to the question is I haven't found anything recently that's hitting the mainstream radio that excites me in the slightest. I wouldn't go to Teen Park if you paid me. Probably wouldn't go to Glastonbury if you paid me, because what mainstream music media considers to be cool, I find chintzy. And
it's just merchandise now, isn't it? A lot of it, yeah.
Whether it's merchandised or whether it's the second that suits get involved with someone, you know, it is about making money, and it seems to me that being cool on the pyramid stage these days is more important than actually writing something that
moves you. Yeah. I mean, we are older gentlemen, aren't we? We are older gentlemen, but we're proud of it. You can't turn back the clock, and there is experience behind these rose-tinted eyes.
Yes, indeed. I mean, if you could turn back the clock, I would go back in time, but I wouldn't go back as a younger me. I would go back as me today, because if I knew back then what I know now, I would have been the king of the 80s.
Well, I suppose on that note, we should probably go through some of the tracks.
Right. First two songs is Coping and Stonewall. Originally written as one lyric, basically about my earliest memories, really. And I grew up just a couple of miles from the coast, and it was early 70s, I think.
Can you describe the geography just for the sort of more?
Yeah, the land was beginning to flatten out. We were bottom of a hill, but still reasonably high above sea level, and
this is northeast of Scotland as well, isn't it? Sorry, yeah.
Aye. And looking out, I could stand on my garden wall and see the horizon, but if I went up in the coping stone, which is another foot higher, I could see right down into the coast, right across the Moray Firth, and I could see the oil rigs getting towed, because they were being made up in Invergordon, I think, and they were getting tugged out, pulled out by tugs out to the fields that were just beginning to emerge in the North Sea, and you could see them, these grey shapes in the distance, But at night time, it was like Christmas trees. It was just that triangle of lights, and it was brilliant. And being a lot younger than my brother and my sisters, they would have been at school, and I would have been at home bored and taking all this in, I guess. And that sort of led on to the part of the song that we've called Stonewall, which is...
Well, against that magic there's a counterfoil, isn't there, of the times of what was happening.
I remember very, very vague memories of going to the petrol station with my dad on a Saturday, and
that's gas if you're in America.
That's petroleum, and it was like 90 pence, you know, 3 gallons or whatever. It was really, really cheap. But there was the oil rigs out in the Firth drilling oil to what was being refined into petrol, and yet there was a petrol shortage in Britain, and there was a power shortage as well for some reason. I mean, I wasn't politically aware of, still aren't politically aware, but it seemed strange to me even then that there was things making petrol out there and we didn't have petrol, and you know, certain times of the day the power would go off, and I remember sitting there at home and my dad making toast on a fork into the fire, hearing things on the telly on the black and white telly about 3-day week and stuff like that. And the song has sort of evolved, but it hasn't evolved chronologically, because these memories came back in different order, and I didn't try to put them in order. I just left them in the order I could remember. So yeah, I'm well aware that the fuel shortages and the 3-day week and the power cuts were probably 73, 74, maybe earlier, and then there was the rubbish piled up in the streets in the winter of discontent, which would have been late 70s, when, you know, the army were out with the green goddesses, putting fire out, and it was bizarre.
Margaret Thatcher
getting voted in, and that's where it sort of came into the second verse, and by this time we'd moved up to Keith, which again is higher again, and you can't see the coast from here, but it's different. You can see the hills, you can see the mountains, and just behind us, although you can't see it here, you've got the start of the Grampian Mountains just behind us, and I remember vividly, you know, going down through town in my 10-speed racer, Walkman on, garden party. Script for a Jester's Tear was the album of choice, along with Subdivisions, the Signals album by Rush, and great times, you know. Getting into trouble in the classroom because, you know, doing air drumming or desktop drumming and the Grendel, stuff like that. And, what are you doing, Jamieson?
Drumming.
It was about that sort of time that my favourite subject at school became my second favourite subject was music. My first favourite subject was that sort of looking out the window thing, and yeah, that's when
these are what dreams are made of.
Yeah, that's when I started to switch off and just wanted to play music.
So
yeah, that's basically Stonewall, and then the chorus of Stonewall was these lines in my face from banging my head in Stonewall. It's just this, no matter how hard you work at school or how good a job you get or whatever career path you want to take, there's always something. There's always someone saying no, the glass ceiling or the wall is just a wee bit too high to get to the top of it. And it's just about, you know, growing up with these dreams and then realising that once you grow up it gets harder and it doesn't get any easier. When you're young you see older people who seem to have made it and seem to have, you know, they've he's got the wife, he's got the 2.4 children, he's got the company car, he's got this, that and the other. And really, the reality is most people are, you know, calm on the surface and paddling like crazy underneath just to keep themselves afloat. And with the recession coming back in 2008, yeah, we really began to feel it. I think everybody felt it. And that's what the storm was.
I think you're right there. I think that indexes quite a lot of my thoughts on my childhood. Obviously, being a lot younger than you. No, I do totally understand that lyric. Yeah. So, where are we going after Stonewall? I'm just trying to remember myself. What's next?
King of the 80s.
Oh, King of the 80s.
King of the 80s. That's your lyric.
Well, I have to say, I wrote King of the 80s on just strumming away on an acoustic guitar, and it was actually very punk, and it was written, I think I must have written it about 8 years ago, if not a bit longer, and it was very simplistic because I only know one chord that I move about very fast.
Here's my sheep and I only use it.
But I think the sentiment was good on it, and I think you've reshaped it quite well. So
well, I'd had this bit of music lying around for a while, and it was in 15/8, and I thought, what am I going to do with it? And I was thinking of using it for like a sort of big overture at the start of an album or something. Then I thought, you know what, it's really quite, even though it's in 15/8, it's got attitude, it's actually got a punky kind of attitude. And at that point I realised that the lyric and the vocal tune you sort of had there fitted over it, and so that became verses, and the choruses just went straight back to 4/4 hook, very tongue-in-cheek. I mean, right from album 1, although a lot of the lyrics that you've written have been very personal, a lot of them are very tongue-in-cheek and very self-deprecating. And there's the dogs, and there's my missus. She's finished work for today.